Hey there, podcast kittens. This is Isolde, your host. I'm super excited that you're here on the Innovative Mindset podcast and spending a little time with me today. I want to talk to you today about something that I've been doing a lot of thinking about. When is it best to do it yourself, and when is it best to hire someone who probably can do it better and faster than you? I know it's a weird question and a weird topic, but it's something that as we all work in this new world, if you will, have to deal with, right? When are you good enough to do it yourself versus when is it better to hire someone else who can do a better and faster job, right? They say that you can have 2 out of the 3, good, fast, and cheap. And that is one of the things that we need to decide for ourselves. Which of those 2 things are most important out of those 3 for you, and also how do you do it? But before I get there, I want to talk to you real quickly about this lovely review I've gotten. One of the things I want to do is give shout outs to the people who are being kind and gracious enough to leave a review. So if you want to do that, I would love it. I will also give you a shout out if you rate and review the show. This one comes from Rena Friedman Watts, who was recently a guest on my show, and I was recently a guest on hers. She's amazing. You're going to love her episode, but I wanted to read you her review because it was so just wonderful to hear. Here it is. Sometimes you get off a podcast interview and you want to write a recommendation and introduce that person to everyone you know. That was the case with Isolde. You will find her radio voice mesmerizing, her questions exactly what you'd want to answer, and her enticing podcast a special delivery. I highly recommend connecting with her and checking out the Innovative Mindset podcast. Wow. Isn't that fabulous? Thank you so much, Rena. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your kind and gracious words. All right, let's get to the topic at hand. Should you DIY or should you hire someone who knows what they're doing? Now, you can do this via TaskRabbit or Fiverr or Upwork or any number of other places where, like TaskRabbit, I think you can do remotely too. But if you need stuff done live, like you got a dresser that needs to be put together, like it's from IKEA or something, or you need a new resume or a new media kit, or in my case, you need voiceover, right? So you might be able to go, hey, let me Google voiceover people and let me choose someone and let me hire them, and we'll it'll be done. My brain is fried. So yeah, but a lot of people will charge you union rates if they're members of unions, or they'll charge you potentially a lot more than you might have in your coffers to pay them. And you might go, oh, sticker shock. And you go, okay, I'm going to try and do this myself. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, are you able to do it, right? Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't do it yourself. If you can, go for it. If you have the right equipment, if you have the right vocal chops, if you know how to deliver a line in a way that is authentic and yet engaging and inspiring, or whatever it is you're trying to do, if you know how to do all of that, by all means, do it yourself. If you don't, though, then you have to evaluate, okay, I can't do this myself. Is that okay? Sure. Because there's a little drama around that for some people, because you feel like, well, I should be able to do this myself. Why not? Well, because your strengths might be different than the thing you're trying to achieve, right? You might have talents and gifts and skills in other areas, but not in this one. So what I do for myself, first of all, is if I need to hire someone, I save my pennies and I hire someone. If I can do it myself, I do it myself. Sometimes I can barter, right? So I have bartered vocal coaching. I've bartered life coaching. I've bartered all sorts of skills that I have with someone who has the skill that I'm lacking, so that they can do it, again, better and faster than I can. Not necessarily cheaper, but at least better and faster, so that I can play to my strengths and they can play to theirs. So one way you can do this is you can offer to pay them. You can negotiate the price if it doesn't work for you. If you can't afford it, you can barter, or you can call in a favor, or you can be a favor for someone else, right? I've done that before. It works out really well, actually. If I need something that this person can give me, but they don't have need of what I'm doing, but they know someone who has need of what I'm doing. So that's possible, right? And you can contact TaskRabbit and you can contact Fiverr or Upwork or any number of other places and find someone who will do what you need to do. For example, I was working for a company and I needed a bunch of press releases sent out. Well, I don't want to have to go through and figure out all the mail merge and all of that database stuff for sending out a press release. So I will gladly hire Fiverr or somebody on Fiverr who does that sort of thing to send out 250 press releases for me. That makes things a lot easier on me. All I had to do was write the press release and then I booked someone else to actually do the sending. And they've automated their sending, so it's not a big deal for them. And it doesn't cost me a lot. Now, here's what I do with the cost. I pay myself a mental salary. Used to be $15 an hour, but recently I've upped it to $20 just to make the math easier, to be honest. So if I know, for example, that it's going to cost me time, 5 hours to get this press release thing done, because I have to go through and I have to find all the people and I have to personalize the press release, just all of that stuff. If I have to do all of that, that's going to be really a bummer, right? But if, let's say it takes me 5 hours, if I'm paying myself a mental salary of $20 an hour, then I go, okay, it would cost me a mental $100 to get this project done. Now, if I go to Fiverr or WeWork and find somebody who can do it for $55 and I can trust them because they have great reviews, and that's something you always have to check, that they're not a shyster, that they have good reviews, that they know what they're doing, all of that stuff. So if you can find that information, then you're good to go, because for me, it would cost me $100 in mental time to do this because it would take me 5 hours, but it would cost me $55 real dollars to get that done. It's worth it. Now, if I knew that it was going to cost me 5 hours, in other words, $100 in my imagined salary, and it's going to cost me $130 because that's what this person charges, then I have to decide, is my time worth that 5 hours? Or can I just go ahead and do the 30? And or the extra 30, if you will. So if I can't, if there's no way I want to spend 5 hours doing this, then I might even pay the $130. But if not, then I go, okay, then I will do it myself, or I'll look for someone less expensive, etc. And this brings me to the point of this episode. For me personally, if you will, one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm working with a cover designer for my first mystery novel that's going to come out this summer. It's called Die by the Sword, and it is the first book in the Cassie Belmont Tarot Reader Mystery Series. It's about a professional tarot reader. If you've heard this before, stop me. It's about a professional tarot reader who works with the Washington, D.C. police to solve crimes. And I had a great time writing it. And I wanted to work with the cover designer who designed the covers for my 2 urban fantasy novels that I wrote back in the early 20-teens. And she's amazing, right? She's incredible. She's an amazing designer. And the reason I'm talking about her is I absolutely wanted to work with her again. And found her, because it's been a while, I found her. I'm very excited to work with her. We set up a meeting and she canceled the meeting last second. She had some things going on. And then she ghosted me. That's what she described it like. She ghosted me for weeks. And I was going, oh, crap, what am I going to do? I have a deadline. I have a schedule that I need to keep. And so I had to weigh those things. Should I try and find another designer? Or should I do it myself? Or should I wait for her? Now, doing it myself is possible, I think, for a nonfiction book, because the designs are very different for nonfiction book covers than they are for fiction. And I love the designs that she has done. The covers she's made for me have been amazing. So I didn't want to go with someone else. But at the same time, I also couldn't get a hold of her for weeks. And I got the email today, which is why I'm doing this episode about this today. I got her email today and she's like, so sorry I ghosted you, which is interesting because I've never been ghosted before. And that's only because the term ghosting wasn't a thing the last time I went out on dates many, many, many years ago. It was before online dating. It was before anything. So I've never actually been ghosted before now. The thing has happened, but it's never been called that. But she was like, I'm so sorry. Do you still want to do this? And I went without hesitation. question, absolutely. She's amazing. I want to work with her. So yes, absolutely. I waited for her because I knew the kind of work that she would do is absolutely worth it. And here's the crux of it. No matter how much money I paid myself in my mental salary of $20 an hour, even if I paid myself $1,000, I would never do the kind of job she would do. I just don't have those skills. That's not how my mind works. And she's amazing. And so good artists, good talent is worth waiting for, and it's worth paying for. You have to remember that some people are going to be like, yeah, this is going to cost you, I don't know, $1,500 or something. And if you can't afford it, I totally understand. But some people, you're going to go, I'm going to have to search the couch cushions and find the money to pay this person because I know that they're going to do an amazing job. And that's what I'm talking about with both money and with time. If you can do it yourself, great. If you can barter, great. If you're basically set on working with an artist or with someone who's creative and they're not around or not available and you can wait, I say it's worth waiting because you know that it's going to be spectacular. If you can't wait for whatever reason, if there are deadlines or whatever, if you can't wait, then you have to find someone else and hope that it'll be as good. When you're working with creatives, you need to understand that this is sometimes the dance you have to do. They get deadline projects, and yes, she'll make me a priority, and I know she will because she's amazing. And I want to be sure that she's taken care of too, right? So because she's worked with me before and I adore what she does, I'm going to do what it takes to make sure that she can do this. Will I let my book be held up? That's a decision that I have to make, right? I have to decide whether or not the June publication date that we've decided on is going to be the publication date. And I would love to be able to go, oh, yeah, no problem. This is perfect. It's all good. But I don't know that yet, right? I don't know what her ideas are going to be. We're meeting soon to talk about it. But I have to decide whether or not her cover, and I'm sure it'll be amazing, will get done in time, right? For the deadline that is set for the book release. So these are all the kinds of logistics and details you have to worry about, which you don't have to worry about if you do it yourself, but it might not be as good a job, right? So this is something to bear in mind when you're working with contractors of any kind, especially if they're creatives. This is not to say that creatives are fickle or flighty or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you're working with creatives, you have to decide what is most important, good, fast, or cheap for you, whether or not you can do it yourself, and if you can't, what your budget is. I use that $20 an hour mental strategy, right? I give myself a mental salary of $20 an hour, and that's how I do it. You might want to find a different way for yourself that'll work, or you might be paying yourself $50 or $100 in mental salary, whatever it is for you. I get it. This is just mine for me, because it's not that I think my time is only worth $20 an hour. My clients know that it's in the hundreds, but that's not the point. The point for me is whether or not I can afford to do it myself. So those are the kinds of decisions you have to make as you do the work that you do, and as you work with creatives, and if you're a creative yourself, as you navigate how to pay for, barter, or do yourself the things that you need to do to make your creative life and your business life go the way you want them to go. All right. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset Podcast, reminding you to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright 2022. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, remember to be bold, be creative, and most of all, be kind.